Hello guys, this is Alex Gomez and I'm back. Gomez Art 3D, my channel is coming back again. It's been a while, a lot of life changes lately, but I'm gonna come up with some new content, sculpting, more 3D, I think so. We're gonna get into Blender, Maya, lighting techniques, modeling, and of course the usual Zbrush, which is what I like to do a lot. So let's get to it with this speed sculpt. As I always do, I start with a polysphere and just give the mm, primal shape of the skull, pretty much. Just kind of like using the move tool, the mask, and things like that, just to kind of like get the whatever my character has like the initial like shapes. Like for example, now here with the clay buildup, I start like forming those iconic shapes that the character has, kind of like a big cheeks, big jawbones, big eyes. So that's what I focus more. It's kind of like a different sometimes of a blockout approach that I'm doing in this case. In which other blockouts kind of like I try to bring other pieces of geometry and put them together. In this one, I'm just straight out with a polysphere and start like a dynameshing and putting like the geometry or the kind of like clay on top of the geometry that I really want to get. I don't focus as much of the details, even though you guys see me here kind of like adding a little bit of details, but it's not like a really rough. I just want kind of like those rough details, because after I get those rough details, I can see remesh and they have a better topology for me to add the details. Now that I had see remesh in this case and subdivided a bunch of times, now I can add those details that I have. For the eyebrows, same technique that I do is mask and extract, and sometimes I give it like the thickness of it. Sometimes I don't give it a thickness, and then I just with similar extrude the geometry. But in this case, like the thickness default was fine for me. For the ears, just a simple sphere, cut it out and do one ear and make sure that you have back face in these cases, because if you don't have it and you start like carving clay like that, you're gonna have those holes there. That is can be fixed dynameshing and inflating the geometry. So after that, I get like a better shape, I inflate it, and obviously I see remesh it as well. And after I see remesh, I just start adding the details to it. So pretty much the same like I did with the eyebrows, the same that I do with the hair. So the hair I just mask, extract, and see remesh. And after see remesh it, I kind of like I start giving like a better shape. And once I have that character just like that, I start adding some colors, because colors give so much identity to it, or so much life of the character. So for me, kind of like, oh, this is looking much better if I add this color or not. I kind of like I have a better sense of depth to it. So it works great for me in this case. So a couple of tweaks I do. It's not like you see in the other videos that people just sculpt and they have it like ready, kind of like you see Polygon or Denimac or things like that. They're super pros. Like I'm not doing this as much. I still working in the animation industry, but my work is more management now than as an artist before. So I like to keep doing these ones so I can keep my creative side intact. And yeah, so what I was saying is, when you have these like these models or these sculpts, you start like moving, shaping, and in the process just to get that likeness of your reference. So it's important that it's not that you're gonna get it right at the first time. It's all part of the process, like you're gonna sculpt and you have like as long as you have like a good base, then you can get a likeness of the reference that you're doing like a more clear. So one of the things that I really realized is, well, like, it's so hard after taking such a long break to go back to sculpting and to go back to ZBrush and kind of like got the feeling. It was like brushing off all the dust that I have in my hands and in my creative process. And I found it like a little bit hard, like to be honest. But the thing is like to push through it and keep going and keep doing it and go at it, and kind of like you go through a mountain, and then when you reach the top of it, things are going to become a little bit easier and it's going to be flat, and then you kind of like go back to your normal skill. So that being said, like, don't give up if you haven't sculpted for a while, if you have kind of like let your art to the side for a while, just go back to it and push through that kind of like painful way that you kind of like realize that, oh my god, this is so hard because it's not as natural as it used to be, because you're not you doing it as much as I used to. So let's keep going with the video.
So I keep applying the textures, kind of like I give that red to the nose, a little bit of red to the under the eyes, even though that should be a little bit darker, but in the design that I had, it was a little bit red, so that's how I go. It just depends of the, like blood lines that you might have, like under, if you sleep or don't sleep, or you're tired or not tired, have like darker eyes or and stuff like that. Then like give like the 5 for clove shadow or the beard shadow kind of thing, which is pretty much a beard. And I really enjoy this process of poly painting. I don't know, I think it just kind of like brings that kind of like no brings your character alive. It's nice sometimes to sculpt really cool stuff, like just in clay material, but I like to add colors. I think it looks much better, and I don't know. This is just a personal thing. So as you can see, like it's still like modifying some of the shapes and the details, even though I had like some poly paint already done. Because I just like to not perfect the things, but kind of like make it look better. If I have a chance to change it, I will change it. Here, like I add a little bit more of details with this kind of like a dark brush color, just to give more depth to it. But after that, I'm just gonna overlap it with a full color, so it's not as noticeable as it is right now. So it is a little bit more subtle. And I keep going to those wrinkles and just kind of, and that it gives a little bit more definition. It's kind of like adding an occlusion to it, but without actually like being an occlusion map. Same for the hair. I kind of like some details, kind of like white hair and things like that, so to make it look much better. And yeah, but just make sure that just before you're poly painting that you have a high resolution, because if you don't have a high resolution on your topology, it's going to start looking like very choppy, the poly paint. So kind of like a low res, and that's where the subdivisions are so useful in this case, because if you have like a subdivided mode like this, like let's say like 3 subdivisions, your textures are not gonna look that good, because you can export this as a lower subdivision or as a lower polygonal count, and then you can just export the textures as a high polygonal count. And I will show you another video like the process that I do to texture and export my textures, so you can bring them to Blender or Maya, and actually UVing, like the process of UVing the faces and things like that. For the body I the same, like just a polysphere and scale it, and trying to do the torso and the arms separate. It depends sometimes of the character, if you want to make them together or separate. In this case I just did them separate, kind of like the Enker Smash. This was my, as I mentioned before, one of my sculpts. It's been a long time since I have been sculpting, so I just kind of like wanted to do it like quick and dirty, pretty much. And I kind of like learn from my own mistakes in a while. Like for example, here I was trying to do the suit and the part of the torso, and I Dynamesh and it kind of carve some of the stuff there, and then I tried to do the color of the shirt, and that was such a horrible idea, because that looks awful. That looks so bad. So what I ended up doing, like that was like a too much work for nothing, and like I should have just kind of like take a plane or take a square, extrude it out, and do the bent arc and just bend it. If you see how some of my other videos that I use the bent arc tool, which is super useful for these cases. And I don't know what I was thinking. And that's the thing, like I haven't sculpted that much that I just kind of like, shoot, I made that mistake and I should have make it different. But at the end, like I didn't record it in this video, but at the end I kind of like definitely like make it look, and then kind of like keep moving a little bit of the face, add some details, some color to the suit. The suit looks super ugly here. I made it again just for the final image, but seriously, that wasn't that good. That wasn't that good at all, and I didn't like it. But anyways, I think this is great. I think that was a good exercise to get back into sculpting. So don't be afraid. Just pick them all and go back if you want to go back sculpting. I think that's going to help a lot. And yeah, and you just keep practicing, because that's the thing. If you want to get better to something, you have to practice. And it's practice and consistency. Because it's not like you're gonna do 2 sculpts. The thing's like it's gonna make a big difference once you start sculpting like for so long. Like let's say you sculpt once a week. In a year, you're gonna be, wow, it's amazing. But in a month, the difference is not gonna be much. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it that you guys still waiting for me for some videos and stuff. So see you next time and have an amazing weekend, guys. Take care.